Hello, for this video, we are going to look at lists that contain lists. So two-dimensional lists, or think of it like nested lists. So you have kind of like one container list with then these sub lists within inside them. So let's set up some code here. So we will start off with our comments. So we will set up a nested list of programming keywords. And so we'll have them kind of grouped together within their sublists or their child lists, if you want to think of it that way. So we will set up our list and we will call it prog words, so I don't have to spell out programming. And then we'll set it equal to, and then we tend to set up our lists like this on multiple lines just so that it's easier to follow the logic and follow what's happening. So we have our outer square brackets, and that's for like the parent list. And then within that, we're going to have our child lists or our sub lists, however you want to think of that. And so we'll have another set of brackets. And then in here, we're just going to have a few words. So let's do variable and then constant and data type. So all words that pretty much relate to our variables. So comma, and we'll do this again with another group of words. And so for this one, let's go with our kind of our control flow. So we'll do loop and iteration and how about condition? And then we'll do another group, kind of get the pattern here. So we're just doing these sub groups for this. Let's do function. So we'll do function, parameter, and return. And let's do one more, and this will be for debugging. So we'll go with bug, exception, and debug. All right, obviously I could go add more and more of these nested lists of these sub lists here, but that's a good feel. You get a good start for how that's going. And then they're just nicely broken up. We could have this all in one line, but it makes it much more readable having it split out onto the multiple lines. So now let's loop through so that we can get kind of a grouping for each one of our three words. So we will loop through the lists to print them out in groups. So we'll do 4, and let's do group in, and then I'm going to copy the outer, the name of my list, or that parent list there. So for group, and we're just setting up a group as a kind of a on the fly variable here that's going to stand in for each one of our sub or child lists. And so we'll do our colon, and then we will print our heading here. So this will print out 4 times, once for variable, once for loop, once for function, once for bug, those groupings. So here we'll say related programming words, and then we'll go to the next line, and here we'll do a nested loop. So nested loop to get each of the words from the current list or group, if you want to think of it that way. So we'll do 4, and we'll do word in. And so word is the variable that we're just making up right here. Group is the stand-in for each one of these lists. So line 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we'll start off obviously in line 3, and that'll be our first group. And then we'll do a print statement here. And then to really make this feel like it's a sub group, we'll do maybe a couple of spaces here, maybe a line, or maybe a star, or some sort of demarcation. And then we'll do the word. So we'll copy that. And then we can do like a empty line between each one of those. So we'll just do an empty print statement. So empty print statement to add an extra line or a line break, that kind of thing. So let's run this and make sure that we're getting the result that we expect. So we'll build, execute, and then here we go. Here's our output. So we have our related programming words is printed out, and then we have our little indentations there with the star. So then we have our first 3 words, and then we go through the loop again, grabs the second group, and so on, third and fourth. And so they're all kind of nicely organized there. So you can see our related programming words. So that's one example using words. So let's do another similar example, but let's use numbers for this one. So we'll just group some numbers together by, we'll group some even numbers, maybe some multiples of 3, that kind of thing. So we will set up a nested list of related numbers. So this will be pretty similar to our first one, just a little bit different. So I'm going to call this, how about number groups? And then same thing, equal sign, and then our square brackets. We're going to break this out onto multiple lines again, just so it's easier to read. And then our nested group will have those square brackets. And in here, let's start off with even numbers. So we'll do 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. And obviously I could keep going with that, but I think 5's probably a good number there. So then we'll do our even numbers. And then next, let's do multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. And then for the next one, let's do squares. So we'll do 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. So that gives us the squares of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Keeping with our theme of 5 there. And then we'll do, how about multiples of 5? So 5, 10, 15, and 25. And then obviously I could keep going with this, but I think this is a good amount for an example to show off. So let's go ahead and print these out. So we'll do, again, our nested loops, to print out the numbers. So again, we'll do our 4, and then we'll say, we'll do again a group variable here, and then we'll grab our number groups for group in number groups, colon, make sure you got the indentation there. And then we'll do print, and then we'll say related numbers, and then we'll do our 4, and then number, that's the variable we're creating right there, in, and we'll grab our group variable for number in group, colon. So print out each number in the child list. And this is actually, let's say, outer parent loop to print out the numbers, or really to print out the definition, to print out the heading. That's a better way to say that. And then here, we will then print each number. So we will do print, and then do we want to do, I mean, we could have these on separate lines if we wanted to, or we could put them on the same line. Let's just do, how about like a space, and then we'll do the number, and then we can change the end character. So we'll do end equals and just a space between them. So we'll see how that ends up looking. If we don't like how the spacing works out, we can always change that. And then we'll do a new line between nested lists. And so for that, we'll just do an empty print statement. So let's run this and see how it goes. See if we get the output that we are expecting. So build and execute. So we have our original output there, and then we have our related numbers. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so looks good. This gives us a nice feel. We can also do commas instead of the extra spaces, lots of different ways to lay this out, but you kind of get the idea. So when we're working with these nested lists, then using those nested loops is a nice way to print out the information. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Thanks for watching.